In this week's Post-Executive Council media briefing, reporting to the media are the Secretary for Community Development and Culture, Dr. Denise Sawyer-Fat Angus, and the Secretary responsible for Tourism and Transportation, Tracy Davidson Celestine.
We have been in the heritage season since July 12th, and so most of my reporting will be focused in this area. And before I get started, I want to put on record my heartfelt thanks to all of the staff throughout the Division of Community Development and Culture, and also the Festival Commission, and all of the stakeholders that have been involved in making sure that this heritage season has come off in a safe manner, and to the and of course of a certain quality. I know many of them would have had back-to-back nights continuing to prepare the different spaces, and I just want to say on behalf of the division that we do thank you for this work that you've been putting in. Overall, I would say that we have had a successful season so far. It is not completely over, and we would have started with an opening night that I believe we have gotten feedback that persons have been satisfied with our opening night, and from there we continued with many of the programs throughout villages. We actually saw an increase in number of village participations this year. I think there are around between 14 and 17 villages that would have participated in different ways, and those village productions, of course, we don't have the official reports yet, but from the feedback we've been getting, people again have been satisfied with the quality of the content of the village productions that we have been having. Of course, some of them we're still getting the challenge with the length, and we will continue to work on that for the next year. We had some new programs initiated, and some were actually brought back into the space. Programs like the Heritage Village up at Fort King George, and again that has been getting significant rave reviews, and I want to thank the Secretary of Tourism and Transport for allowing us to use that space, so we are able to collaborate in that space. And the numbers are showing that normally where in July you would have about 500 persons visiting this fort, to date we have had 2,400 persons visiting that space, from schools, churches, Trinidad tours, and even persons who have been here on various conferences like the Teachers Conference. And so that has been a big one, a big addition that persons seem to have really appreciated and have been spreading the word, so the numbers persons are still attending. I believe even up last week they had about 100 persons from Trinidad, and just yesterday about 30 from another group from Trinidad of students. We also had yesterday's children that were brought back onto the table, and of course the island tours that did quite well throughout. The village of Roxborough yesterday had the reintroduction of the Belmana riots, and that it seemed to do very well. The production in the afternoon was also well attended, and they had a very good event there. As we move forward and recounting overall, I think there was a lot more participation from schools this year, not just up at the Fort George, but even attending the various village events. We had Naparima girls from Trinidad, and I believe some other schools that would have attended, groups of about 10 to 15. I believe that there were at least about 6 different groups that would have attended at various village events. And so that has been good for us in terms of visitor arrival to our shores. We look forward to the Drum Festival this afternoon. We actually have some master drummers who are in our midst already and preparing to showcase their talents. They have, over the past 2 days, been holding workshops with our own drummers and strengthening and exposing them to various other techniques. As I would have said on the opening night, this year's heritage, there's a beginning, but there's no end. There's no end, and therefore the change in the theme will come at next year's opening gala event when we change the theme. But the thrust will be this year that the heritage begins. We began on the 12th, and that emancipation, where it would have been a closing in the past, is just another part of us recognizing our heritage. And throughout the year, we will have a 3-day weekend. Again, packaging the heritage product, not just for ourselves, but as a form of tourist attraction also. These packages, we would attempt to put them towards the end of the month, and also to partner with private sector and even across the THA in putting on some of these programs. And therefore that, such an example would be the Youth Explosion that is coming up on the Sunday, August 4th, that begins at 2 p.m. And that is a partnership with the organizers of the Great Fete weekend. We saw it as a good example, a ready audience of young people to be able to expose the heritage to them in that space. And so the partnership has occurred, and we're looking forward to that event where we would have young performers and persons performing indigenous arts in the midst of that Great Fete weekend on that Sunday. So it is one of the free days for the Great Fete weekend. We're encouraging families to come out and participate. There will be a lot of activities for the youth, workshops, and health talks during the afternoon from 2 to 6 p.m. And at 6 p.m. we'll have the official start of the cultural expo at that time. Moving forward, in September, we expect to have the Belfest. That has now been moved into that area. In October, partnering with the weekend of Blue Food Festival on the Sunday, we expect to have the Folk Fiesta on the Saturday. Again, packaging it so that there's more on the weekend for the visitors. The Junior Heritage, I understand, will also be moving into the October period. And in November, we will be in discussions with the J.D. Elder Foundation to see how we can participate and partner in the conference that they expect to hold in that month. This year is a special year for the J.D. Elder Foundation because it is the 100th year of the birthday of J.D. Elder and the 10th anniversary of his death, all occurring in November. So we look forward to that. The Carifesta, we are taking a contingency to Carifesta to showcase, again, the indigenous arts from Tobago and exposing our young people to other cultures out there. And that team is expected to leave some will be leaving on the 16th and some a little bit later on, but the period of Carifesta is the 16th to the 25th in Suriname. So we will be looking forward to that trip. In terms of the communities, we do have coming up soon, the commissioning would be soon of the Calder, I believe it's the Mesa Hall Y Zone, and also the Mount Pleasant, the Canby Mount Pleasant Y Zone. If you all can remember, these are youth spaces that the Division of Community Development and Culture outfits to give youth an opportunity to own, manage and operate their own space and to be able to become mentors to the younger children within the community.
I'm very pleased to report that a delegation comprising representatives from the division staff as well as the private sector would have journeyed to Germany and UK and would have returned from a successful mission to two of the destination most important source markets. And our research tells us that the German market accounts for over 17% of the Tobago's tourism international arrivals in 2012. And so the division has been focusing endlessly on the German market, and that mission sought to, one, raise the destination's visibility in that market. Recent statistics have shown in 2012 and even now emerging in 2013 that Germany remains one of the leading destinations in terms of international tourist spend. And our research also shows that when they travel abroad, that they spend a period of 2 weeks. And so we want to capitalize on that, and that mission would have sought to raise the destination visibility in that particular market, and of course, to develop new partnerships with airlines and tour operators, and to maintain existing relationships with airlines and tour operators as well. We had airlift meetings, and coming out of those airline meetings, we had a meeting with Condor. Condor currently operates the Tobago route and has agreed to continue its year-round direct service from Frankfurt to Tobago, and there is a commitment up to 2016. Apart from that, and I must mention that we are still in the initial stages of discussion, they have also expressed an interest in adding another flight from Manchester to Tobago to its schedule. And as I said, this is in its initial stage of discussion. And so to my mind and to the mind of the members of staff in the Division of Tourism and Transportation, this really is a testament to the progress being made in the area of transportation. And of course, you know that when you focus on tourism, apart from your sites and attraction, airlift has to be of utmost importance as well as marketing. And so the division's team, the airlift committee, are all focused on ensuring that we have additional flights to Tobago as a destination. We also had, out of that mission, exploratory discussions with another German airline. And of course, you know, when you're having those discussions, you can't really reveal the name and specifics in terms of the nature of the discussion. And we are looking at having airlift out of Dusseldorf to Tobago. And our research tells us that the Dusseldorf International Airport is the third largest airport in Germany, and it estimates to handle about 20.8 million passengers in 2012. And so we want to ensure that Tobago has that connectivity as much as possible, and we are in the process of now submitting statistics to them as well as information on the ARTA or A&R Robinson International Airport in terms of dimensions and that kind of thing. So we are in the initial stages thus far. Out of that mission, we also had meetings with cruise executives. 3 cruise lines have already committed to calling on Tobago in the 2015 to the 2016 cruise season. That is the Saga Cruise with a capacity to transport 700 passengers. We have Thompson Cruises with a capacity of 1,500, and of course they have indicated its interest in increasing the number of calls to Tobago. And we also have Carnival UK. They have a capacity of 2,000 passengers, and again they will be increasing their calls in 2015 to 2016. Because we have overall objectives internally, and we are working assiduously towards achieving those objectives. And we also had on that mission, preliminary discussions with the Sea Trade Organization about the possibility of hosting a Sea Trade Cruise Forum in Tobago in 2014. And that will, of course, augur very well for the development of the cruise industry and also to create heightened awareness about Tobago as a possible or as a continued cruise ship port of call. Again, we focused on marketing as well. And from the German side, our research tells us that 91% of all holiday trips are planned and purchased through the travel agencies. And so out of that mission, we had discussions with several new tour operators. We met with JT Touristic. We also met with Myers Weltressen and, of course, Thomas Cook. And I am pleased to report that Tobago has signed on with a new German tour operator, which is JT Touristic. And this tour operator currently serves over 120 destinations worldwide, and they have a database of over 10,000 travel agencies. And I must indicate that Tobago is the first Caribbean destination to be sold in their portfolio. And representatives from the company will be in Tobago next week to sign contracts and, of course, to observe the product. Because, as I said, 91% of Germans, they book via travel agencies, and so this is really a feather in the cap. And I, at all sessions, encourage the private sector to ensure we have a product that is worth visiting. We also had Myers Weltressen, another tour operator, and they have selected Tobago as the 2014 destination, and they will be calling on this destination in 2014 with a mega farm trip. This program will reward the 50 best travel agents with a 5-day visit to Tobago, and the promotion for this very popular initiative will begin in November of this year. And Magdalena, who was also a part, Magdalena representatives were part of the discussion, and they have graciously agreed to host the group. I also want to mention that out of the marketing initiative, Tobago will also become a part of this company's online training program, and this means that approximately 12,000 travel agents under the Myers Weltressen umbrella will be educated about the destination and will be encouraged to sell Tobago to their respective clients. Out of that mission, we also had meetings with Thomas Cook, and only 2 days ago, the tour operator Thomas Cook relaunched Tobago as a destination to their customers. And Thomas Cook represents approximately 2,500 travel agents, and we welcome them again to Tobago, and this really opens up another dimension and another opportunity for us here on the island. And they have also invited representatives from the Tobago House of Assembly, the Division of Tourism and Transportation rather, as well as the private sector, to be a part of their company's program that is likely to take place at the end of August. And there they will meet another 2,500 travel agents. And in that we will have incentives for travel to Tobago, including a round-trip flight that will be among some of the prizes offered. So in summing it up, the mission was very successful. And as I said, we had representatives both from the division staff as well as the private sector, led by yours truly, Tracy Davidson Celestine. We spoke about things pertaining to cruise. We had results in terms of marketing and tour operators signing on to the destination. And we expect to see continue additional discussions for additional flights to our destination. In other matters, I must mention that the Travel Professionals of Color Conference program is taking place as we speak in Destination Trinidad and Tobago, and we would have had the official launch and the opening ceremony on Monday in Trinidad. This conference hosts approximately 200 delegates to this particular destination, and it is the 11th such conference and trade show that is held by that organization. But most importantly, it is the first conference that is held outside of the United States of America. And I think it is because they have recognized that Tobago and Trinidad is a culturally rich destination and that there will be plenty to be had from coming to this particular destination to host their conference. The final leg of the conference will be held in Tobago. They will be here for a 3-day visit. And the TPOC is really, the acronym TPOC is really Tobago Travel Professionals of Color, and it is a unique organization that seeks to sell culturally rich heritage destination to their customers, and that organization has an active membership of over 800 travel professionals who really influence the buying habits of hundreds of thousands of minority travelers within the United States of America market. And so I expect that out of that we will have increased visibility for Tobago's destination in the North American travel market. And while they are here, they will have discussions with not only the Division of Tourism and Transportation staff, but the private sector as well, because they will be discussing packages and different products and accommodation, so to speak. So they will be here on Friday and they return on Monday, and on Saturday there will be a cultural reception at the Pembroke Heritage Park where they will be the participants, the main participants rather. I also want to mention that there was the recent launch of the Rockley Bay Excavation Project, a project out of the Division of Tourism and Transportation, and one that has the support of the Executive Council as well as the Tobago House of Assembly by extension. And in the Division of Tourism and Transportation, we recognize the value of cultural tourism. As a matter of fact, our research indicates to us that cultural tourism contributes about $80 billion annually to economies around the world. And Tobago wants to capitalize on that. And that is why we have the Travel Professionals of Color program. We are hosts to that. We partner with TDC. And that is why we also would have signed on to the Rockley Bay Excavation Project. And this project is in collaboration with the University of Connecticut, the University of Chicago, as well as different embassies. And we had a team of investigators, a team of researchers rather, headed by Dr. Krom Bachvaro. He is the Assistant Professor of Maritime Archaeology at the University of Connecticut and also an affiliated scholar. And while the project was officially launched on July 13, 2012, it really commenced in the month of June. And that project will occupy the southern portion of the Port Authority site. And eventually, we will have a conservatory that will house artifacts and facilitate mapping and research and that kind of thing. I know that there is a collaborative relationship with the Tourism Trust, and eventually there will be one with the Division of Community Development and Culture, because the purpose really is to recover, evaluate, to catalog, and catalog the 17th century cultural artifacts related to the 1677 Franco-Dutch naval battle, which took place in what is now called the Rockley Bay, Tobago, which is now called Rockley Bay, Tobago. And I'm pleased to report that the first phase of that project is completed, and that first phase included the establishment of an appropriate conservatory facilities for the rescue, treatment, and preservation of endangered cultural material from the Scarborough Harbour. And let me add, most importantly, it included sighting of those wrecks, and I must say that they have been sighted. I don't want to say found yet, because to my mind, found means bringing them up to shore, but they have been sighted, and the team will return in January 2014, where they will start the process of mapping. There is also to be collaboration with the Division of Education, Youth Affairs and Sport, because one of the things we want to ensure is that there is education awareness, and there will be some sessions with school-age children so that they understand, so that they participate in the underwater studies, so to speak, and that they are part of the mapping and the research and the bringing back to life the cultural artifacts, so to speak. So that project is ongoing as we speak, and the Division of Tourism and Transportation supports it wholeheartedly, because we recognize the contribution that cultural tourism make to any economy worldwide, and we feel that we too can capitalize on it here in Tobago, and by extension Trinidad and Tobago.
Has there been any update on the airport as yet?
No update on the airport as yet, at least nothing concrete. And so we still await information. I am told that a meeting, out of that meeting we had at Magdalena with the Minister of Tourism and Transportation as well as the Minister of Finance, we got the commitment that there will be a meeting where all the key players will sit down and hammer out the issues with regards to the startup of work at the airport. But that meeting has not been set yet, the date.
Thank you for tuning in to another Tobago House of Assembly's Post-Executive Council Media Briefing for the week ending August 3rd, 2013.